Hey guys, so what you're going to be watching for however long you're willing to practice for is a series of drum tutorials that take you through the basics of drums. Now, this isn't going to be your conventional just step-by-step routine, but it's going to take you through the basics, but it's sort of in a way to calm you down. Not the super relieving, calm music sort of drums, but more just satisfying, relaxing music. You're going to start from scratch and you're going to build your way up. This should take you to about the edge of an intermediate level, after which you're probably going to want to get practice in person. This is going to be very interactive and I'm going to be answering as many comments as possible. So if you guys have any questions, any suggestions, leave them down below, and whenever you run out of things to practice, I'll make sure to have things in the description for you to learn on your own, maybe listen to, and do whatever you want with it, and give you that freedom to learn. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started with your first lesson, taking you through the basics. So to start off, let's go over each part of the drum and how it works. Now the first most basic part of the drum is called the hi-hat. In technical terms, the hi-hat is two cymbals put against each other with a foot-operated pedal. Now what that means is they took two pieces of metal, put them against each other, and gave us a pedal that helps us control how far both of them are from each other. Now when you look at it, it'll be on the opposite side of your dominant hand. That means if you're right-handed, it'll be on your left, left-handed will be on your right, and you usually play it with your dominant hand. Now it sounds a little something like this. Now, this was how hi-hats normally are, with both cymbals, the pieces of metal, close together. Now, if you open it, you can control how it sounds, and you can make it sound as open as this, as trashy as this, or you could give it a little sizzle at the end of a basic beat. Next, let's go on to the snare drum. Now the snare drum is a percussion instrument again in the center of the drum set, which you usually play with your non-dominant hand, that produces a sharp staccato sound. Now essentially what that means is that it gives you punchy sound, and this is why it's usually played on the third beat of a 4-beat rhythm or the second and fourth beat of a 4-beat rhythm. If I were to play it with the hi-hat, it would sound a little something like this. Or like this. So moving on, the bass drum, or otherwise known as the kick drum, is a huge drum. Again, it's operated with a foot-operated pedal that produces a low sound, and you might find it on the side of your dominant hand. That means if you're right-handed, you will be using it with your right foot. If you're left-handed, you'll be using it with your left foot. Now, it sounds a little something like this. The important thing with a bass drum is how you use the pedal. With the bass drum being such a large instrument, the pedal is equally powerful. So it's very important that you don't hurt yourself using it. Now, when your foot is on the pedal, make sure your heel is kept upward, and it's not your toes, but that little section behind your toes, and that little bit that pushes the bass drum and produces a powerful sound that's sharp and sounds good. So if I were to use it with the hi-hat and the snare, it would sound a little something like this. Now let's move on to the cymbals. Now the cymbals over here on the left and right are disc-shaped percussion instruments again, and they're what you use in a hi-hat, like mentioned earlier, except it's the hi-hat cut in half. Now, cymbals, you might have one of them on your drum set, two of them like I do, or 3 or 4, as many, but they're all very different and produce a very different sound. Mine sound like this. Now, cymbals usually start off beats, and they usually start off a rhythm, but it's important to realize they're almost always played alongside a bass drum, just to give them a fuller sound. So you heard them earlier without one, and this is what they sound like with one. So in a beat, using everything we've learned so far, this is what it sounds like. Finally, we have the toms. Now, the toms, you can call them tom 1, tom 2, and tom 3, or the high tom, the low tom, and the floor tom, respectively. That goes from left to right if you're right-handed, and right to left if you're left-handed. But they're what you use in things called fills. Now, fills are things like the name suggests, they're things you use to complete and fill up empty sections in an overall drum beat. So if I were to use them, they'd sound a little something like this, using everything we've learned so far. That's it for this lesson. If you want to learn more about anything we've done today in this lesson, make sure to check out the links in the description. They'll even give you a general overview of everything we did. Until then, check out the next lesson and have a good one.